7 months ago, I put out a video titled The Truth About Flying with a Gun, and in that video, I said this. First thing I do before I even begin packing for my flight is a bag check. I take both of my carry-on bags and search them thoroughly for any guns, bullets, holsters, knives, gun parts, or anything that'll reasonably give TSA an excuse to put me in that private room so they can molester me. TSA says that you can fly with optics, but I just play it safe. And this next story is the very reason why I said to do a thorough back check before you fly, even if you're not flying with a gun.
The trip to paradise turning into a nightmare for another American allegedly discovered with bullets in his baggage in the Turks and Caicos, now facing a possible mandatory sentence of more than a decade in prison. ABC's Morgan Norwood is here with this story. Good morning, Morgan.
Hey, good morning to you, Rihanna. That's right. Tyler Renwick is the third U.S. tourist arrested for allegedly bringing ammunition into the country. Now, here's the thing. The law in Turks and Caicos requires a minimum 12-year prison sentence. And this morning, his wife is speaking out. She is begging officials for mercy.
This morning, an emotional plea from the wife of Tyler Renwick, an American EMT and father now sitting in a Turks and Caicos jail, possibly facing 12 years in prison. Arrested after hunting bullets were allegedly found in his luggage. Renwick charged with possession of ammunition.
We're just scared that he's not going to come home, and my son shouldn't have to grow up without a father.
Renwick was celebrating his friend's bachelor party in Turks, boarding a cruise ship last Saturday when police say they found bullets in his backpack. His wife, Jerry Ann, says it was an honest mistake.
Like, I understand that there's laws and regulations, but there should be fairness and grace when it comes to things, and especially the intent of them. There's no intent to harm anybody.
Renwick's arrest comes just days after another American man was arrested for the same offense. 40-year-old Brian Watson of Oklahoma on vacation with his wife Valerie in Turks and Caicos earlier this month when airport officials found several rounds of hunting ammo in his luggage.
It was at that point I realized, hey, those are bullets that I buy whenever I go deer hunting.
On the heels of these latest incidents, the U.S. Embassy in the Bahamas reissuing an alert, urging Americans to check their bags for stray ammunition or forgotten weapons before departing from the U.S. In the case of Ryan Watson, TSA admitting it failed to detect the bullets before he was arrested in Turks and Caicos, saying TSA can confirm that 4 rounds of ammunition were not detected in the traveler's bag during security screening at Will Rogers World Airport, adding ammunition is prohibited in carry-on bags and passengers are responsible for the contents of their luggage.
I fully take credit for making a mistake. It was an oversight that I'll replay in my head for the rest of my life.
And TSA says Renwick's family has submitted a bail request. But as for Ryan Watson, he's since been released on a $15,000 bail, but he's got to stay on that island until his next court date.
Ironically, this happened to me before. I was leaving Vegas and TSA found a couple of bullets in my carry-on bag. The agent simply took the bullets and told me to be on my way. This happened in America where the people have the Second Amendment and the firearm ownership is extremely normal here. So it wasn't a big deal. But we tend to forget how unique our two-way freedom is in this country. Turks and Caicos is a British overseas territory and are part of the United Kingdom. And sure, they have a degree of autonomy, but the UK government is extremely anti-2A. The last thing they want is their citizens owning guns.
Today in Britain, all handguns and semi-automatic firearms are prohibited. You can only use manually loaded rifles and shotguns for hunting or hobbies at shooting clubs like this one in London.
There's like 4 bullseyes of what?
Member Sherman Strobel says getting a gun license from the police can take months.
They check how many parking tickets you've had, whether you've ever had a drink and drive.
The police will also visit your home to make sure you store your gun in a safe like this and may ask your doctor about your mental health.
If you've had depression or anything like that, you will not get a firearm.
But the criminals in Turks and Caicos, they definitely have guns and plenty of ammunition.
Tonight, potential new concerns for travelers after an American tourist visiting the Turks and Caicos Islands was killed with 2 others in a shooting, according to police. The suspected gunman even sprang this police vehicle that intercepted them. Turks and Caicos police say the same armed gang member shot at a car holding tourists. No arrests have been announced.
I believe the original attack was targeted. and carried out by armed gang members.
And I guess what struck me in your story is how the police there was talking about armed gangs.
The gun and criminal dynamic are no different in America than they are in other countries. Make all the laws you want, the criminals will still have guns. The only difference is, in America, the people have guns too. I'd rather live somewhere where you have the means to fight back than somewhere where you have no means to fight back. I don't care how safe you tell me it is, because when you end up becoming one of the 1% where this happens to, that safety doesn't matter. You're gonna want a gun to protect yourself in that moment because you're no longer safe. Now, let's not fool ourselves. They're trying to make an example out of these people. It's clear as day that this was an accident. They're bullets, not grenades. They're literally useless without a gun. It's not like he tried to sneak on 1,000 rounds of ammo, and I could maybe see if he had a gun and ammunition, maybe, but it was 4 rounds. 4. He's clearly not the type of people we're worried about, but the goal isn't to scare the criminals. The goal is to control and to give the normies a false sense of safety. Like, oh, it must be so safe here because they gave that one guy 10 years for just 4 bullets. There's no way the criminals have guns over here. I feel for the Americans in Turks and Caicos facing football numbers for a simple mistake, and I hope they're able to come home soon. That said, remember, the rest of the world doesn't appreciate the freedoms that we Americans have, especially the governments of those countries. The US was founded on rebellious, unapologetic freedom. So much so, the founding fathers created a government system that limited the government's power as much as possible. Name another country that has a system of government designed to limit the powers of the government as much as possible. And even if there are countries with similar government structures on paper, the United States is the only country with a Second Amendment which guarantees the right to keep and bear arms. And even countries like Mexico and Guatemala, who have a constitutional right to own guns on paper, you'll quickly learn those rights are severely limited and definitely don't apply to the Americans that happen to find themselves in those countries. At the end of the day, we all grew up playing cops and robbers, making the pew pew sounds as we lined up the sights of our finger gun and shot at the imaginary bad guys to save the day. Little did we know we were mimicking the sound of freedom afforded by the Second Amendment. Whether you're a weekend shooter, hobbyist, collector, concealed carrier, or just an admirer of all things pew pew, we all understand what the gun represents to our lifestyle. The Pew Pew Life hashtag and brand is a subtle nod to the lifestyle of freedom symbolized in the gun, all the while evoking a little bit of nostalgia. At its core, the Pew Pew Life is about the people, which is why I created the Guns Are Common Sense t-shirt, hoodie, and drinkware, because no matter what the government tries to tell you, guns for the people's safety is common sense. It just is. If we know criminals are gonna have guns, then the people need to have guns too. And now you have the perfect shirt and drinkware to remind everyone else. So click the link in the description section and order your shirt, hoodie, and drinkware today. And don't forget to leave a comment telling me what you think about this story. Do you believe this guy who mistakenly had ammo in his bag should be relegated to 10 years in prison? You tell me. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, hit the bell symbol, and then tap all.